Welcome to today's deep dive. We are really glad you are here with us.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us.
Today we are taking on a very specific mission. And it's something almost every single language learner has to face at some point.
Oh, definitely.
We are looking at some fantastic notes from a recent conversation on the Jack and Lillian show. And their entire discussion was focused on one major goal, which is mastering restaurant English.
That's right. And, if you have ever felt stressed about this, you are definitely not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine the situation for a second. You are traveling in an English-speaking country. You have been walking around all day, seeing the sights, and you are having a wonderful time.
Right. The perfect vacation.
Exactly. But then the sun goes down, and you get hungry. You walk up to a nice restaurant, you look through the window, and suddenly
And freeze.
You freeze. You feel this massive wave of anxiety because ordering food in a new language can feel incredibly intimidating.
Oh, absolutely. It is a huge source of anxiety. And let's unpack why that is. Why do we feel so nervous?
Yeah.
Usually it is because it feels like a massive overload of vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like you need to memorize, 1,000 different English words just to get your dinner.
It really does. You have to read a long menu, try to understand a waiter who might be speaking very quickly, and make decisions on the spot.
It is just a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
It is, but Jack and Lillian make a fascinating point in their discussion, and honestly, it changes everything.
Yeah, this was the aha moment for me.
Right. They point out that anxiety usually comes from the unknown, but a visit to a restaurant isn't really unknown at all. In fact, it is a highly choreographed play. It is a very predictable script. When you realize that the waiter is essentially just reciting lines, you can stop translating every single word in your head and simply wait for your cue.
You have lines to say, and the waiter has lines to say.
Exactly.
I think framing it that way is brilliant. It takes so much of the fear away. So today, we are going to walk through this script with you.
Step by step.
Yes, chronologically. We are starting from the very beginning, before you even arrive, and going all the way to the end when you pay the bill.
We are going to highlight the exact simple phrases you need.
By the end of this deep dive, you will have the confidence to navigate this whole experience without feeling that rush of panic.
So let's start at the very beginning. This is before you even step foot inside the restaurant. You have your eye on a popular spot. Maybe it is a famous Italian place in the city. If it is a busy place, you can't always just walk inside and expect to sit down right away.
No, you need to secure a table first.
Right, which means you have to make a reservation.
And for a lot of people, that means picking up the phone. Making a phone call in a second language is often the scariest part.
Oh, for sure.
Because you cannot see the other person's face
Right.
or read their body language. But Jack and Lillian give us the exact line you need to start the play. You call the restaurant, they answer, and you simply say, "Hello, I'd like to book a table for two, please."
It is a perfect, polite sentence. Hello, I'd like to book a table for two, please. Now, if we treat this like a script, you must anticipate what the other actor, the restaurant worker, is going to say next.
Mm-hmm.
They need more information to finish their job, so they will naturally ask you, for what time?
Exactly. You give them your cue, and they give you theirs. You just need to be ready to reply with the time. You say 7 p.m.
Right.
And then, of course, they need to know who is coming. They will ask for your name so they can write it in their book. You just reply with under the name, and then say your name. Under the name David, for example.
That is the whole phone call. It is quick and painless.
So easy.
Now, let's move the scene forward. It is 7 p.m. You arrive at the restaurant and you walk through the front doors. Usually there is a host or hostess standing near the entrance.
They will greet you, probably with a big smile, and ask their first line of the script. Good evening. Do you have a reservation?
And because you made that phone call, you can confidently say yes.
But let's pause for a second. What if you didn't call ahead? What if you were just walking around the city, you smell something delicious, and you decide to just walk inside? Jack and Lillian offer some great backup phrases for this exact scenario.
They do.
You walk up to the host and ask, "Do you have a table for two?" Or you could use, "Is there a table available?"
Both of those are excellent natural phrases. Is there a table available? However, Jack and Lillian do set some expectations here. Sometimes the restaurant is completely full.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
The staff might look at their book and say, there is a 20-minute wait.
I used to get so confused by that phrase when I first started traveling. There's a 20-minute wait.
It can be tricky.
It is important to know that this means you cannot sit down immediately. You have to wait near the door or maybe at the bar for 20 minutes before a table is empty and clean for you.
It is a very common scenario, so it's good to be prepared for it. Now let's imagine your table is finally ready. The staff will say, "Follow me, please." They guide you through the busy dining room, you sit down, and they hand you the menu. And right away, before you even have a chance to look at the food, the waiter will usually ask you the first big question of the meal.
Yes, the drink question. They will say, "Can I start you off with some drinks?"
That's the one.
I know a lot of learners who panic here because they haven't had time to translate the menu yet.
Yeah.
But Jack and Lillian remind us that your answer can be incredibly simple.
Exactly. You don't have to order a complex cocktail.
Right. You can just say, "Just some tap water, please."
Just some tap water, please. And for those listening, tap water is the regular free water they bring in a glass rather than the expensive bottled water. Or if you prefer something else, you can say, "I'll have a glass of apple juice." The beauty of this step in the script is that ordering a simple drink buys you time.
It does.
The waiter walks away to get your water, leaving you in peace to look at the food choices.
Okay, so you've ordered your drink, you've got a moment to breathe, and then you open the menu. And suddenly, you're staring at 3 pages of tiny text.
It's overwhelming.
There are dozens of dishes, descriptions, and ingredients. It is very easy to feel completely overwhelmed by a long restaurant menu. How do you even begin to find what you want?
Jack and Lillian suggest breaking it down by understanding the anatomy of a standard English menu. Menus are almost always divided into predictable sections.
Right.
The first section at the top is usually labeled appetizers or starters. These are the small plates of food designed to get you started before the big meal arrives.
Right, so you map that English word to the concept you already know. Starters are things like hot garlic bread or maybe a small house salad or a bowl of soup.
Exactly.
Then, moving down the page, you look for the section called the main course. This is the core of your dinner. It's the large filling plate. This is where you'll find the steak, the roasted chicken, the heavy pasta dishes, or the fish.
But here is where it gets really interesting. What happens if you look at the main course section, you read all the options, and you still have no idea what to choose?
Oh, I've been there.
Maybe the vocabulary is too difficult, or maybe everything just sounds too good, and the waiter is walking back to your table to take your order.
This is stressful.
It is, but Jack and Lillian share a brilliant strategy for this moment. It is essentially a cheat code for ordering.
I love this cheat code. You use it to take all the pressure off yourself and put the work onto the waiter.
Yes.
When they ask what you want, you just ask them a question back.
Yeah.
What do you recommend? Let's repeat that because it's so useful. What do you recommend?
It is such a natural conversational pivot. You are asking the expert, the person who works there, what their favorite dish is.
Right.
Another great variation is asking, "What are the specials today?" Many restaurants have a dish of the day that isn't even printed on the menu. The waiter might reply, "Our special today is the grilled salmon."
That is a clever shortcut. He narrows your choices down to just 1 or 2 things. If the salmon sounds good, you just say yes to their suggestion. But eventually, you do have to speak your actual order. Jack and Lillian highlight the core sentence structures you need to memorize here. You really only need 2 starting phrases. You can say, "I'll have the," or you can say, "I'd like the."
Let's try practicing that to hear the rhythm. If you decide on the pasta, you look at the waiter and say, "I'd like the vegetable pasta, please." Or if you want the chicken, you say, "I'll have the chicken, please." Notice that in English, adding "please" at the end of your request is very important. It keeps the interaction polite and friendly.
Always use please. Now, Jack and Lillian bring up a very specific rule that we should definitely talk about. Let's call it the steak rule.
Oh yes, the steak rule.
If you look at the menu and decide to order a steak, you cannot just say, "I'll have the steak, please," and expect the conversation to be over. You must anticipate a follow-up question from the waiter.
Yes, this is a classic trap for beginners. The waiter will always reply with, "How would you like that cooked?"
And if you aren't expecting it,
If you don't expect this question, you might freeze. Jack and Lillian break down the 3 standard options you need to know. You don't need to know all the complex culinary terms, just the 3 main ones.
okay, what's the first one?
The first is rare. Rare means the meat is cooked very quickly on the outside and the inside is still very red.
The second option, and probably the safest choice for most people, is medium. Medium means the meat is cooked nicely but still has a pink center.
Right.
And the third option is well done. Well done means the meat is cooked all the way through for a longer time with no pink or red color remaining.
So if we look at the script again, you say, "I'll have the steak, please." The waiter asks, "How would you like that cooked?" And you confidently reply, "Medium, please."
You have successfully navigated a multi-part exchange just by knowing your lines.
Exactly. Now, before we move past the ordering phase, Jack and Lillian emphasize a critical point regarding safety.
Yes.
If you have food allergies, navigating a menu isn't just about what tastes good. It is about protecting your health. You have to know how to advocate for yourself in English.
This is vital. If eating a certain ingredient makes you sick, you need to communicate that clearly to the waiter before you order. Jack and Lillian provide a very clear two-part phrase for this. Imagine you cannot eat peanuts. You should tell the waiter, "I'm allergic to peanuts. Does this dish have nuts?"
Let's break that down because it is so important. I'm allergic to tells them that your body reacts badly to the food. And asking, "Does this dish have," forces the waiter to check the ingredients.
You can use this for anything. I'm allergic to dairy. Does this dish have milk or cheese?
Right.
Never feel shy about asking this. The restaurant staff wants to keep you safe, but they need you to tell them the script.
Absolutely. So you've ordered safely, you used the right phrases, and the waiter takes your menus away. A little while later, your food arrives hot and fresh and you start eating.
The best part.
But the play isn't over yet. The interaction with your waiter continues. In many English-speaking cultures, part of the waiter's job is to check on you during the meal.
Oh, this always makes me laugh because without fail, the waiter always comes over to check on me at the exact moment I take a massive bite of food.
Every single time.
They will walk up to the table and ask, "Is everything okay here?" Or, "How's your meal?" And there you are with your mouth completely full.
It happens to everyone. Jack and Lillian offer the perfect, polite default response for this moment. Even if the food is just average, the standard cultural script is to simply smile, swallow your food, and say, "It's delicious, thank you."
It's delicious, thank you. It is short, polite, and it signals to the waiter that you don't need anything else right now, allowing them to walk away.
Exactly.
But that raises a great point. What if everything is not okay? What if you drop your fork on the floor or your glass of tap water is completely empty? How do you get the waiter back to your table?
Jack and Lillian address this, and it is largely about physical cues rather than shouting. You don't want to snap your fingers loudly or yell across the dining room.
Right, that is considered very rude.
Instead, you need to catch the waiter's eye. This means you watch for them as they walk through the room and you make direct eye contact. You might raise your hand just slightly to signal them.
And when they come over, you use a polite interruption. You start by saying, "Excuse me." That is the magic phrase for getting someone's attention respectfully. "Excuse me, could we have some more water, please?" Or, "Excuse me, could I get a new fork, please?" It is a gentle way to break into their routine.
So, you finish your water and you finish your main course. The waiter comes by and clears the empty plates away, leaving the table clean again. This signals a transition to a very fun part of the script.
Oh, I know what part this is.
The waiter will look at you and ask, "Would you like to see the dessert menu?"
The dessert phase. Jack and Lillian note that you really have two directions you can take the script here. The first is to politely decline. If you ate a huge steak and you are completely full, you simply smile and say, "No, thank you."
But if you still have room for something sweet, you eagerly accept the cue. You say, "Yes, please. I'll have the chocolate cake." Jack and Lillian also mentioned that this is the perfect time to order a hot drink to wind down the evening. You might add, "And a cup of black coffee, please."
It is the perfect way to finish the meal. But of course, the night isn't completely over.
Yeah.
You still have to handle the logistics of leaving. You have to pay for the food.
A final scene.
How do you signal to the restaurant that you are completely finished and ready to go home?
You initiate the final part of the script. The key phrase to remember here is, "Could we have the bill, please?" Let's say that one more time. "Could we have the bill, please?"
Now, Jack and Lillian point out a fascinating regional variation here that you really need to be aware of.
Yes, this is super important.
If you are traveling in the United Kingdom, Australia, or many other places, bill is the perfect word. But in the United States, they often use a different word entirely. Americans usually say check.
Right.
So if you were in Chicago or Los Angeles, you'd say, "Could we have the check, please?"
Bill or check, depending on where you are. So the waiter brings a little paper folder to your table. If you prefer not to carry cash, you'll need to know how to ask about card payments. You can simply ask, "Do you accept credit cards?"
And what if you are eating with a group of friends? Maybe you all agreed to pay for your own individual meals instead of one person paying for everything.
That's a common situation.
Jack and Lillian offer some great phrases for this. You can ask the waiter, "Can we split the bill?" Or, even clearer, can we pay separately?
Can we pay separately is incredibly useful. But now we have to discuss what is arguably the most stressful part of the entire restaurant experience for travelers.
A tipping minefield.
Yes, tipping. This causes so much anxiety because it combines math with cultural pressure.
Exactly. Tipping, of course, means leaving extra money for the waiter to thank them for their service. But the rules change drastically depending on what country you are in.
Jack and Lillian make this very clear in their notes. If you are in the United States or Canada, leaving a tip is not just a nice bonus, it is socially expected. The standard rule of thumb is to leave an extra 15 to 20% of the total cost for the waiter.
But they also give a very important warning. In many other countries around the world, especially in Europe, the tipping culture is totally different. You might not need to leave a large tip, or any tip at all, because the restaurant has already added a service charge to your total price.
Which is why Jack and Lillian offer this ultimate piece of advice for the end of the meal. Always read the receipt carefully.
Yes, look at the paper they bring you.
If you see the word service charge included printed on the bill, you do not need to calculate a tip. If you don't see those words and you are in North America, you should definitely leave that 15 to 20%. It all comes down to taking a deep breath and reading the paper.
Wow. We have successfully made it from calling on the phone all the way back out the front door.
I made it.
Let's do a quick recap to lock these core pillars in your mind. First, you make the reservation. Second, you decode the menu and use the cheat code to order your main course. Third, you handle the mid-meal check-in with a polite trap. It's delicious. And finally, you ask for the bill or the check, and you read the receipt.
Jack and Lillian leave us with an excellent study tip for putting all of this into practice. Don't just listen to this deep dive once and hope you remember it. You have to practice your lines.
Good point.
Find a friend or language partner and role play. One of you plays the waiter, the other plays the customer. Speak the script out loud. It builds muscle memory and dramatically reduces your anxiety before you travel.
If you only remember one thing from this whole discussion, make it this. Going to a restaurant in English is not a chaotic event where anything can happen. It is a predictable sequence of questions and answers.
And that actually leads to a really interesting, broader thought. If you can map out the hidden script for ordering food, you can map out the hidden script for almost anything else.
Oh, that's true.
Checking into a hotel, buying a train ticket, shopping at a market, they are all just scripts with predictable lines.
Exactly. It makes the world feel so much more manageable. But here is something to think about the next time you travel. If all of these daily interactions are just scripts we memorize to fit in and get by, at what point in learning a new language do you finally get to stop acting and just start being yourself? Keep practicing, keep learning your lines, and enjoy your next big adventure.